Today we're going to be making a kid favorite homemade granola recipe that features whole grain oats. And we're going to start with a very basic recipe that just has between 4 and 5 ingredients. At KinderCare, we serve a variety of whole grains at meals and snacks to help children feel satisfied and to fuel their activities and learning. Before I start mixing, I've preheated my oven to 275 degrees, so it's getting warmed up. And for our ingredients, we've got some whole grain oats. They can be regular or gluten-free. If you need a gluten-free oat, they're widely available in the grocery stores. So we're gonna add 5 cups of oats to our bowl. You don't have to measure perfectly, just around a cup measurement. Your littlest cooks can help fill measuring cups. They can pour ingredients. They love stirring things in. But because today we're using a hot cooking surface and an oven, adults should always be present and guide children on safety in the kitchen. Whole grains are not only about helping to power active kiddos, but they also help with digestion and absorption of nutrients that growing bodies need. They're loaded with vitamins, especially those B vitamins, which are great for regulating mood and other brain functions. And then to the oats, we're just gonna add our cinnamon. And the recipe calls for 1/2 teaspoon. I'm gonna be generous with that 1/2 teaspoon and just add that in. Just kind of stir that up in the oats. And then we're gonna set this bowl aside. So now that that's mixed, let's head on over to the stove. Since we're gonna be using honey and some sunflower seed butter, they can get really sticky and not wanna come out of measuring cups. So sometimes I just do a little bit of oil in my measuring cup. That helps things like honey and nut butter come out really well. So just a little tip there. So we're gonna put 1/2 cup of the sunflower seed butter. Again, it doesn't have to be perfectly measured. That looks about like 1/2 cup. So we'll put that in. And then the same thing with the honey. We're gonna do 1/2 cup of honey. Again, you could use maple syrup. If you are gonna use honey, just remember not to use it for children under 12 months old. Go ahead and use maple syrup if you're gonna be serving this to your little ones. And then we'll just turn on our burner. I'm gonna put mine on low. Your burners at home might be a little bit different. So we're just trying to heat this mixture up so that it's not as thick as it starts out with, so it's a little bit runnier, and then it'll mix in with the oats. And then to this mixture, we're gonna add a little bit of vanilla. So I'm gonna shake that up and just add a teaspoon of vanilla. Whoop, I always get a little extra in there, which is just fine. Okay, we'll give that another stir. It doesn't need to be on very long, probably just a minute or so. Should be plenty of time to get it heated through. And then the fun part is coming up.
Up, up.
Say up, up.
Up, up. Up, up. Up, up.
Good job, Lovely.
Now back to our recipe. We're gonna mix all of this together, and I just find that using my hands works a lot better than using the spatula, but we wanna make sure that the sunflower seed butter mixture cools down first before we let our little hands get in the bowl. So you can start by just mixing it in with a spatula, but you can have your kids do the mixing for you as soon as that mixture cools off. So you want the oats to get incorporated with all of that sunflower and honey mixture. We could stop right here and just use this 4 or 5 ingredient granola recipe, but we've got extra goodies, so we're gonna go ahead and add some fun things in here. Whatever you like or that your kids like, let them choose what they want. There's so many things that you can add into granola. Some other ideas might be some flaxseed or chia seed, but the thing about those seeds is they really need to be pre-ground in order to get those fatty acids. A lot of times you'll see those in stores in a whole seed form, so you just want to grind them up first if you're going to incorporate some of those other seeds. So now that we have our oat mixture all mixed in, we're ready to put it on our baking sheet. So I have a rather large baking sheet because this does make a good amount of granola. And then we're just gonna spread it evenly on the pan, and then it's gonna go into our preheated oven, again at 275, for about 20 minutes. And then after 20 minutes, we're gonna mix it up a little bit, kind of mix it up so that if the bottom's getting more brown than the top, that'll just kind of help keep it evenly browned. And then we're gonna cook it an additional 10 minutes, so about 30 minutes total. All right, our granola looks done. It's a nice golden brown color, so I'm just gonna set that to cool, and it's fine to let it just cool as it is on the pan completely before you break it up. And then to store this, you can store it in an airtight container at room temperature for 1 to 2 weeks. Or if you have this much and you want it to last a while, I just put it in a bag and stick it in the freezer, take out a little bit at a time and just let it unthaw for a minute or two, and it's ready to go for your cereal or over yogurt or however you want to serve it. Thank you for joining us today. Click below to get the recipe card and the shopping list.